congratulations for Burn It All, or I like to say one woman wrecking crew here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What it is, yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Hey, so Brady, tell us first where the origination came from for your story.
Well, it's kind of a two-pronged thing. I wanted to do something that was a little more action-based because I've had a couple of fight scenes in previous movies, and they're always really fun to do. And I'm a big fan of action movies because I grew up in the '80s, so I've got that in my DNA. And so I wanted to do that, and I also, on the other hand, I wanted to make something with a little more commentary and a little more, I guess, messaging to it. So the topic of misogyny and patriarchy and all that stuff has kind of been given to me through educational discourse from other people over the years. I've kind of like expanded my mind a little bit about that. So I kind of wanted to combine those two things into one story that could entertain, but also maybe like start some conversations if the mood hits just right, you know?
Absolutely. Elizabeth, so you became sort of like this feminist that went after your male counterparts here. Tell us why you were attracted to a project like this.
Alex and I are very similar, and I'd worked with Brady before, so when I saw even glimpses of the script, it screamed to me. It was like Alex and I are very women empowering. I believe in really being the strongest woman myself. And when I saw her, I was kind of like, wow, we don't really disagree on a whole lot. So this could be really fun. And with Brady, I mean, I wanted to jump at the chance to work with him again because he's created a lot of great work. So those two mixed together, recipe for success.
And I wanted to make up for you getting your bag stolen on the previous time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, we were leaving our gear under this bridge, and we didn't realize there was a guy living in a van right behind the gear stack. And I'm pretty sure that was the guy, like when we all like went like half a block away to film her kicking somebody's ass. I think that guy stole her bag and probably some other stuff.
Yeah, it was funny. But yeah, Alex is a powerhouse, and over the years, I mean, I've gained quite a large skill set fighting wise. And when I found out that she was going to be kicking ass and taking names, I was like, let's go. Let's do this. This looks awesome.
Wow, that's actually excellent to hear. So what was the stunts and the fight choreography more difficult for you in your career for this movie, or is it just about the same as it was for a lot of your projects?
And that's a good question. I would say it was harder in some respects, but it was definitely my speed. So prior to this, like literally Brady had my audition via Zoom in China. I was already doing a live stunt show at that time. So I was doing stage fighting, and stage fighting is just a different beast in comparison to film fights because you're up close, things are stacked differently, etc. So the choreography was definitely more intricate, and I definitely felt challenged. I got to fight more people at the same time versus one-on-one fighting, so that was really cool. But overall, it was definitely complex. I was challenged every day for sure.
Brady, you said that you wanted to do something a little bit different. How challenging was, basically coordinating an action film with the stunts, with the fight choreography, for everything for you and your perspective?
I mean, in our favor and in the production's favor, it was written to be filmable, which I've learned over the years. I've made a bunch of little rinky-dink movies out of my own pocket, so I know the value of writing it small and writing it within the capabilities of what I can do and what the people I bring in can do. So it wasn't a huge challenge getting the fights planned out in a way that we could do them. It was more of just like not anticipating how cold it was going to be or rain or things like that. But I also didn't plan any fights outside really. So that was more of the other scenes that the cold and the rain screwed with us on. And luckily, my neighbor is actually the fight coordinator, Drago, who's also just has a film coming out too, probably later this year. I think they just might be signing a deal soon. And so he's a great coordinator who I've worked with before and Elizabeth's worked with before. And he makes it easy. Like he's just really like in charge and calm, but he knows how to get things looking right for the camera. and we work together well. Like I tend to work very fast, and just really lean, and so he can adapt to that. And so between that and Elizabeth and all the other stunt players and Becky, the stunt double, we were able to kind of cobble together fight scenes pretty quickly, run them like they were rehearsing stuff while we were over filming something else, and then everybody was warmed up, and then we could just get in there and get it done. So I don't think we really went over in terms of schedule, other than like one night, and it was really only like I think an hour or two.
Yeah, it wasn't crazy.
Yeah. I've been on shoots that are way longer and way more hard, and people are just really dying at the end of the day. So yeah, it wasn't a huge challenge. It was more other things that made days more difficult than others, and it was rain and cold.
Let me backtrack here. You just mentioned that there was a stunt woman named Becky. Elizabeth, did you really needed a stunt woman?
That was funny. Becky and I actually went to United Stuntmen's Association in Seattle together. So I was very happy when I found out that she was going to be working on this project, because I've seen her work. She's a helicopter pilot. Like, there's nothing this woman can't do. She's amazing. I did need a stunt double, and that was sort of an interesting step back for me because I've always been the stunt double for someone else. So in this situation, it was the first time where I sat there and was like, oh, this is why we're important. This is the other side of what what being a professional looks like. So I was relieved because it also made, I'm sure, Brady's job a lot easier in the sense where we could be filming multiple parts of a scene, like multiple fight scenes at the same time. And the transition was just nice and quick because I knew what she was doing, she knew what I was doing. And we worked really well together. So that way she was needed. She was 100% needed. She made my job a lot easier for sure.
That's actually pretty great. I didn't even know there was a stunt school.
Yeah. She's a powerhouse, and she did probably all of the things I was a little apprehensive to do, because even as a stunt performer, there are things that were like, whoa, like we'll still do those things, but Becky has a very good fight style, so we're very similar in that respect. So it was cool because I learned from her and she also learned from me. So like she made this film that much better for sure.
Well, Brady, we know what Elizabeth is capable of. How did you bring in the rest of the guys into to fight Elizabeth here? Are they all stuntmen? And
to some degree, yeah, and also some not. I mean, basically, anybody who was going to get their ass beat by Elizabeth or shot by Elizabeth in the movie had to be somebody who either had some stunt chops or was willing to learn some basic stuff. That's another good thing about Drago. He's a very good teacher, and he's not intimidating. He'll walk you through it. So there were a few actors who just really had no stunt experience, and it was like, okay, she's going to choke your ass out and punch you in the stomach, and Drago will show you how to make that look real and keep it safe. But for the big set piece fight in the restaurant, most of those guys were stunt guys. And Drago just has this huge network, and so does Elizabeth. I think between the two of them, they just like put out the call, so like, who wants to come get their ass kicked? And just a bunch of dudes showed up, and that worked out great. And like she said, like Becky was off to one side with Regan filming, and I was off to the other side with Elizabeth filming, and we were just A-Bing this fight scene, just having two different versions of Alex just kicking ass on all these dudes.
Brady, logistically, when you were filming some of the scenes, because it looked difficult, I don't know how you pulled it off. Like the restaurant scene, you had to basically shut off the lights, or basically the some of the fight scenes where you have like the plastic tarps all over the place. How do you pull that? How do you pull off that camera work without setting yourself into a trap?
Well, this is the first film I've done in a long time where I ran camera. And I did that, because it was just easier. The smaller the crew, the easier it is to manage everything. There's just less footprint, less people to figure out, less cars. And so it was just me with the camera on my shoulder. Most of this movie was handheld. The camera was very heavy and my shoulder was really hurting after a couple days, and I should have rethought what lenses I used. but yeah, like I said, we just planned it small. So, and just and those the big action scenes, we lit them in a very like kind of blanket way, either the blue and the red lights in the restaurant or just the fluorescent overheads. There was not one like non permanent light fixture in that back room. And those two are the same location, by the way. It's an old abandoned Denny's that Deb's mom, one of the producers, she owns that. It's just been sitting derelict for 10, 20 years. And so can we use that place and trash it? She's like, yeah, of course. So we put all those tarps up, not so much for decoration, but to hide the fact that that's the back of a Denny's. And so that flexibility just allowed me to just run around and grab an angle. Okay, punch him there. Okay, cool. That looks good. Got it. Boom, done. And just move really fast. And I don't have to communicate that to a cinematographer or to anybody else. I can just say like, okay, this is what we need. Boom, got it. We're moving on. Just checking off the list and moving really zippy.
Wow, that's pretty good. Elizabeth, how was your overall experience as your first leading lady role? And do you now consider yourself an action star?
I would say it was probably the best experience I could have had. Brady was very one-on-one with me. So I was lucky that this was my first experience. This was like my debut into this whole thing. I would say, yeah, I would hope to be an action star. I hope that's where this ends up going because it's truly my favorite way to perform. And being a stunt woman, it's just a natural progression. But I really can't say this enough. Like we had such a good cast, such a good crew, such an excellent, just like we all wanted this thing to work and we would go to whatever lengths we could to make that happen. So for this to be my first, like, I feel like I got spoiled on that for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Brady, just out of a weird question. If the bad guys just gave her mother's body, would we even have a movie?
No. It's and that's baked into the story. That's part of the whole like messaging. It's like you tell certain kinds of men that they can't have a thing and they say no, it's mine. And so she's like, no, I'm not accepting that. And so it's just the battle of wills. It's that toxic masculinity we hear about so often. And they just, and I mean, I don't want to spoil too much, but like, in the middle of the movie, he's like, well, this body is spoiled now, but we're still going to come after you because you've offended us. So yeah, it's definitely a thing where it's like she wouldn't have got in their business if she could have just buried her mom.
That's right. Well, let me wrap it up with one more question I like to ask everybody because we're speaking virtually right now because of the crazy times and the crazy world we're living in. How do you guys are staying creative and sane during times like this? Who wants to start?
Brady, I'll give you your shot because I know you got some good answers.
I mean, this year, the past year and almost a year and it's a year now. It's been tricky. I've definitely been just kind of hermiting up and doing house projects that I should have done 10 years ago. But I have been staying a little creative. I'm working on a new script. I'm kind of getting that put together and thinking about how that can work. Hopefully Burn It All gets a little bit of juice going, which will allow me to kind of get some opportunities to develop that script properly. And other than that, I mean, my day job is going fine. I do video work for publishing houses and books are still selling. Books are still selling better actually the past year. So that part of my creative life is staying pretty consistent.
All right, Elizabeth, you have the last word.
I am a boxing coach when I'm not doing stunts, when I'm not on set. So luckily for me, all I do is fight all day. So 6-7 hours a day, I'm in a gym teaching kids or myself or adults how to fight. We have a dojo that's like right behind this wall. And there's days where I'll just go in there and grapple and kind of just keep my skills as fresh as possible. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise. So I feel like I've gotten a lot better without being able to do as much.
Excellent. Well, hey, congratulations for Burn It All. And
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate both of you for speaking with me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Bye now. Next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.